Now. Now, this program is called Now. Maybe this is a little bit pretentious. I mean, what do we mean by now? I suppose it's a philosophical problem. So obviously this program, my name is Father Alan Grisewood. So this guy is going to begin preaching. Well, that's true to a certain extent, but I'll try not to be preachy. And just by the way, this program, we're going to go all over the world. Not all over the world, but as many places as I've been able to go in the last 12 years to take pictures because I like wandering around. And maybe that's something that I'll be punished for. But anyway, the end result is we have a few pictures. So here we are. The program is called Now. Why? Because we're all living now. The Catholics say this is the sacrament of the present moment. But the point is, what is now? How do I, as a man or a woman today, encompass the whole of creation now? This is the problem. And we are, for example, so some people say that the cells in our body contain fragments from the galaxy. They say on the galaxy there's in our fragments. So as we're sitting here, we have aeons of history in our bodies. In other words, so as I'm sitting here, my body and your body is full of ancient stuff from galaxies light years away. So whether we like it or not, because this word now, why I chose this word now is because it's called, the word modern comes from now. I think, if I haven't forgotten my Latin, I spent about a few years and singing in Latin every day, 5 hours of Latin, but I've forgotten most of it. But I seem to remember that the word modern comes from modo, now. So the catchphrase, the catchword today is now. I'm not interested in the past. I'm not interested in all this antiquated stuff that the older preachers and all these custodians of the older way to museums. I'm living now, and that's it. But as I stated, you can't get away from it. We are stuck with bits from the galaxy. Our mindset comes from Bibles or Korans or Christopher Dawkins or some other Dawkins. They're all telling us some story. So we're stuck with it. Even if you're evolutionary, you say, well, I come from a monkey. Okay, where are these monkeys? So we're stuck with it. So the main thing is, what is now? So to be more practical, down to earth, we are going now to Jerusalem. Okay, this is Jerusalem. Why do we choose Jerusalem? Well, as we just know, yesterday I was listening to the wireless. I don't have these MP3 things, I'm not listening, but I was listening to the wireless, the BBC, and it said that Trump was going to move the embassy from the Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. Well, who cares? Everybody cares. The whole world is jittery. What's going to happen? Is the whole 1/5 of the population of the world going to go mad? Jerusalem, the capital of Israel, what is going to happen? Why? But the thing is, we're going to think about it in this period. That's why in Israel we're going to think, why all this furore? Why do we get so het up about it? Jerusalem, I mean, Jerusalem is just a little place. There's some funny people wearing funny hats and they wander around. And why should we get so excited? So we'll go there to see, okay? We'll find out what the fuss is about. Well, this, presumably, he must be a Jew, okay? Well, he is a Jew, minding his own business, wandering around here. And where is he? He's at the foot of Mount Olives. This Jew is at the foot of Mount Olives. And he's wandering around here. We'll just see, so we'll see what he's up to or what's going on here, okay? Okay, so he's wandering around. Okay, now, opposite, while he's wandering around here, this is what is called the Golden Gate. Now, this Golden Gate, you could say, is one of the twin portals of heaven. Because the twin portals, you see, look, it's twin, two doors, no? And this, you've got these battlements here, and these are the battlements which weren't built by the Jews and they weren't built by the Christians. They were quite possibly built by Suleiman, where he built these battlements here when he took over. And if you go to Jerusalem today, you go to the church of the Holy Sepulchre, you'll see the doors of the church of the Holy Sepulchre are also like this. They're exactly the same, the two. So we'll see the connection. But these doors are very... I'll just tell you a personal story about these doors. Not too long ago, when I took this picture, in fact, actually, well, another time, anyway, I'd just come from the west of Jerusalem, Jaffa Gate. I'd walked down to Mount Zion. I'd come past the Dung Gate to the south. And then I come up here, and this is facing east. I'm looking west. Okay, so that's west. And this is the... And I came to this... these golden gates, what's it called, the golden gates, and I wanted to take a close-up picture, so I went right up to it. But I found I couldn't go right up to it. Because there was some grating at the bottom of this gate, you see. And I said, that's strange. I said, why should there be grating at the bottom of the bottom golden gate? And I didn't know why. And I came back and I took out the books and I said, 100 years ago, some other chap, maybe he wasn't a chap, maybe he was, anyway, some other fellow, he was going along here and he was doing the same. He was going to take a picture of the Golden Gate, and lo and behold, he fell down, and he saw underneath here another gate. Oh, it twigged. This was the original gate that Jesus walked through 2,000 years ago. This was the original gate that the whole of the King Herod's temple, etc., the whole history of these golden gates. Every day Jesus used to go to the temple behind here. This is Temple Mount. He used to go out behind here and he would preach. Then he would come up through these gates and he would cross the Kedron Valley. This is a valley here. Just by the way, we'll see. We'll have another view of this to see. This is the Kedron Valley, and he would come to where we are now. We just showed the foot of Mount Olives, and this he would perhaps do this daily. Anyway, very frequently he went through these gates. And all sorts of important people came through these gates. For example, when the Persians invaded Jerusalem, they captured Jerusalem, they took away the pieces of the Holy Cross, the cross. That's why we say, we have the English saying, touch wood. What does that touch wood come from? I believe it comes, you know, in the old days they used to believe in these stories. And they said, touch wood, touch the cross. So people used to believe that the cross was the thing. Some people have different ideas today. But anyway, the relics of the so-called relics of the true cross were stolen, taken by the Persians and taken off. And the Roman Emperor Heraclius went after them. He was given, after a lot of argy-bargy, he got the relics of the whole cross, and he came back triumphant, the Emperor of Rome, riding on a big steed, followed by all his henchmen, and they're riding back. We are the greatest thing of all time. We've got the cross. We're going back to Jerusalem. We are something. And he comes to the gate here. His steed won't budge. And somebody said, look, whatever title you're emperor, maybe there's a problem here. You know, you are carrying the cross. And Jesus, when he was carrying the cross, was he mounted on a big steed saying, everybody, look at me, I'm the greatest thing of all time? No, he was a humble guy. So the emperor got off his horse. He clad in poor clothes. I think he took off his shoes. Anyway, he did a good job of it. He became a humble guy. And he had the cross, and he carried the cross into Jerusalem, and there was no problem. So the idea of this is, okay, Emperor, you're a great guy, but we all have to carry the cross. So he walked in there. So in other words, the emperors walked in here, people, and this was closed up eventually, actually, by the Turks, for various reasons. But some people, I know some people recently, they're always going to Jerusalem. They said, you know, on the 5th of June, some date or other, these gates will be open, and that means the coming of the Messiah. I said, oh, really, really? But anyway, this Golden Gates, perhaps a whole term could be written about this, just these Golden Gate. So the East Gate, well, so we'll change the subject. Otherwise, okay. So this is the Golden Gate now, all right? Now, so we can see here, you know, the parapets, as we say, this was probably, okay, now, what have we got here? This is, well now, the Golden Gates are west, this is the Garden of Gethsemane. This, as we all know, or we've all been to our catechism classes, and we've all told these stories, which most of us say was a myth or something. But anyway, this is the story. This is the Christian story. And 1/3 of humanity is supposed to believe in the Christian story. And anyway, this is the Garden of Gethsemane. Gethsemane, what does Gethsemane mean? Well, the Gethsemane means the storeroom of the olives. Gethsemane, something like that. In other words, it's where the olives probably were kept, or the olives were pressed. I have a certain affiliation with these olive trees because actually I was born in Cyprus and we had a little farm and we had olive trees. In fact, I remember when we were young, in the storeroom, which is the same Gethsemane, the storeroom for the olives. We had a storeroom for olives. We had these big barrels full of olives, and I remember. Well, for our 11s, they call 11s, some people say, at 11 o'clock, you get something, and we go in there and we get handfuls of olives and then take them and chew them, and that was the life of Riley. We had a good time. But anyway, that's by the by. But these olive trees, according to some people say, they witnessed the agony of God, of Jesus Christ. So before the night of before Jesus Christ was crucified, Jesus Christ had a tussle in this garden. What was the tussle? This was maybe the greatest battle of any human. Why was the greatest battle? If we think of the Battle of Hastings, or the Battle of the Somme, or the Battle of I don't know what, any battle, perhaps the greatest battle in history happened here. What battle here? The battle of wills. This is the battle, because every day we have the same problem. Every day we get up and we have a battle. Do I do your will, or do I do my will? And the greatest battle of us all, do I do God's will or do I go my will? So Christ was a man. Originally, when we think of gardens, a very famous garden was the Garden of Eden. And in the Garden of Eden, we had these two lucky people, and they had everything they wanted. And then, but they came to the crux of the problem. This apple, or whether it was a banana or an orange, we don't know. But anyway, the basic idea was that Adam was having a good time, and we all of us, it's the same situation. Everybody, all of us, most of us, live in the little Garden of Eden. And we're doing what we want to do. So they're sitting there, and Eve said, you know, this devil came along and said, you know, all this is yours, you know, all these trees and the trees and the rivers and the fruit and everything. You know. And but that tree over there is also very tasty. Would you like to taste that? And Eve, putting up a bit of a battle, she said, no, if we eat that, we will die. And the devil said, no, you won't die. Now, what does that mean, basically? It means all of us, we're born, we have a nice family, you know, mama and papa, or whatever. Now you're not allowed to use mama and papa, you should say parent one, parent two. But whatever the situation is, what your mindset is, you have a family, and you have a little Garden of Eden. Anyway, to go back to it, these two, Adam and Eve, they said, I will do my will. God can take a run, can jump in the river. I'm doing what I want to do. And that's what we're all doing. We say, God, you're irrelevant. This is what we're doing today. God, you're irrelevant. We will have a meeting and discuss how to deal with North Korea. That's our problem. A few bombs will solve the problem. And we have a problem in Africa, we have a problem in England, and we don't refer to the boss. So we do exactly the same thing. So we follow will. So here, I'll just finish this off because the program, this particular bit, I have to shut my mouth up, is what happened in this garden. Jesus said, I will do your will. So he won. Humanity won. In the old Garden of Eden, humanity lost. So this is the greatest battle of all time, when man said to God, I will do your will. So that's very basic. Today, do I do my will, or do I do God's will? And this is where the famous battle was. So everybody has his Garden of Gethsemane. Well, maybe I've done a bit too much preaching, but I'd like to remind you, just before I go, that we have actually, I've spent the last 12 years wandering around to, in Africa, everybody you could think of, and we're going to have, Arctic Circle, everything you want. So take it easy. I get bored too myself quite easily. Anyway, have a good time. God bless.